joining another episode of Not a Great Whisper, where we interview ordinary people living extraordinary lives. I'm your host, Katy Rey, a fierce leader in the community, empowering you to own your story and embrace everything you are. I am joined today by my stylist, right? I could say that, right?
Yeah, clothier.
Alex Stead, and she has arrived in her amazing suit, of course, because that's what she does. But I'm so excited to have you today. Are you excited?
I am so excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Is this your first podcast?
This is my first podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I love that. I love being somebody's first, you know?
Oh, I know.
It's one of my faves. So tell me a little bit about you.
So I am born and raised in Trinity, Florida. Wow. So I'm a Florida girl.
Through and through.
Yes, which I feel like there's not many of us around anymore. Everyone's from up north.
Actually, you're kind of right.
I am right about that. Yeah. So I grew up over there, went to high school there. Now I live in downtown Tampa, which is super exciting. And I absolutely love it.
So I have some things, of course, to bring up about your life because, you know, you have your badass mama.
Oh, yeah.
Who we have to bring up.
Of course we do. She's the main character.
What a role model, right? Tell me about growing up with a badass mom.
It was really nice to grow up in a household where we could say what we thought, said how we felt, like there was no judgment. And as I've gotten older and exposed to more people from other backgrounds, I've realized how lucky I am and like how rare that can be. Yeah. So it was cool growing up with someone like her and just having like a strong, independent woman in my life.
Do you think that's what makes you so good with people and like your customer service of just being a stylist?
I think it plays a huge role. She kind of has this vibe about her that's kind of like, no big deal, you know, we'll figure it out. She's always made me feel that way with situations. So I feel like that definitely transfers to me working with clients. Like nothing's a big deal. Like I'm happy to go the extra mile because I just grew up in an environment where we just get things handled, move on.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And I think one of your biggest experiences that you've had to experience is losing your dad a couple 2 years ago?
3 years now,
3 years ago. And being such a strong family, have you noticed how much you look to each other?
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Like all those little differences that we've had, like have completely gone away because it just doesn't matter. And so my mom has a mindset too now that it's like life's too short. Like if you want to get that, get it. Like if it's not working out, okay, well everyone struggles. Like what's really important, you know? So.
And that's your sister, you and your brother.
Yes.
Right?
I'm the oldest of the three.
And all of you live in Florida?
We do, yes. So my sister's over in Trinity with her husband and her baby, and then my brother's in Orlando.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
They like to make Disney trips.
Oh my God. Once a month. I went to Disney a couple days ago. I'm going to Universal this weekend. Yeah. And that's what we find value in. My mom's like, that's when I feel the most happy.
Yeah.
And it's a free for all when we get there.
Yeah. And you're
like,
just there living.
Yeah. I love it.
I love that. And I do think it's very empowering because, you know, you're a young professional in just crazy industries. Like you're in every industry because you do custom suits. So it's like every industry. But you have so much experience you've already lived through, the lived experience piece. So I feel like that makes you, as someone who's been in sales my entire life, I think that just makes you better at your job because you see people.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely does help a lot. You know, just being more relatable and just like having less of a guard up, you know, because at this point I'm like, what else can happen? Bring it to me.
What's your, like, give me a summary of your generation. Like, what is because you're now in South Tampa, right?
Yeah.
The going out scene, everything. Like, how do you feel like sometimes you're a little bit in an older generation, just like the way you go out and just like have fun and just love people and it's not like a competition to you? Because I've never gotten that vibe from you of like competition. I was like a typical South Tampa person. Like when you're out.
I see what you're saying. So I definitely am noticing more is going out. Like sometimes I do feel like I don't fit in because it's like I have old school and traditional values and we're in this culture where it's all a little flashy and a lot of people are working jobs where they are making money fast, controlling their income fast at such a young age. And the best way to show that visually is, you know, when you go out and you spend money in front of people. Yeah. And so it's kind of hard, especially in the dating world, to like find people where that's not the most important thing to them. Like we're in such a society now where it's like everyone is very career driven, which is great. But like what else do they have? Like I was raised seeing other things. And like the money was like my mom always says, she's like, everyone struggled when they were younger. She's like, your dad and I like had, you know, you guys were kids, you didn't even know.
Yeah,
but now it's all, everything's very like a scene, very flashy. It's like an image. So it's interesting. And it is a little scary thinking of like the generations to come.
Right?
Yes.
It's very scary. Technology has a little bit to do with that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm hoping I keep my kids humble in their hand-me-downs, you know?
Yeah. So I feel like we grew up that way, but now I'm seeing, you know, girls when they're 16, like I didn't look like that at 16.
Oh my God, people can contour.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish you saw my white eyeliner and blue eyeshadow.
Oh, I would have loved
it. It was really great.
I used a Claire's eyeshadow palette.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Claire's was great.
Nothing's more humbling than that.
And I used to have eyebrows that were like my whole forehead.
Oh my God.
It was really not great. And I feel like it kept us humble though.
It did. And like
so
we
I feel
love
like
looking
everyone
back.
needs to do that.
Yeah. It's like nothing's better than looking back at those pictures.
Yeah. I see like a 14-year-old and they're like perfect makeup. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That ain't right.
No, it's
I got those like, remember when Kmart was back around?
Oh yeah.
We would get like the 2-for-1 lip glosses and eyeshadow powder, but the eyeshadow was like gel and it wasn't like powder.
So you can do that. If you can work with that, you can work with anything.
You can work. I mean, we did work with that. But yeah, and are you the oldest?
I am the oldest.
Oh,
yes.
So how's that? Oldest child are always my favorite.
Yeah, it's interesting though. Like I'm the oldest. I feel like I'm the babyest, but we are all a year apart from each other. So no one like babysat the other.
Oh, wow. That's it.
Yeah, we're like friends. I always say it's like Kardashian vibes.
Yeah, and it's triplets. You guys are all triplets.
So we roast each other. We make fun of each other. Like it's so comfortable.
Oh, you're right. The year apart does make it just like a little.
So we're like friends. Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed that with my 9 and 7-year-old. They're 2 years. They're always doing the same thing. So it's like one bosses the other one bosses the other. It's just like back and forth. What do you think is the most inspiring thing you saw growing up, either from your mom or just in general?
I would say the most inspiring thing I saw growing up was just both my parents. Like my dad worked his way up as a car salesman all the way up to finance manager and then like general manager. So but like we never felt struggle. Like I didn't see that as bad or I just didn't know any different. And if he had to get a second job, he get a second job. My mom's gotten a second job at some point, but they remain calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah.
And I think that is just so inspiring because you just like make it work. But like the true value of like us and the family like always remained. I never felt a shift or change in that.
Like like this is too much for us.
Like
for
that's
my
just
family.
life.
They provided and they made sure that you all felt safe. And,
like my
I
mom
love that.
didn't work when she didn't have to. She did when she did have to. Like no big deal. Like if you can, cool. If not,
Do you think that's what makes it hard for you to date now?
It does because
Your expectations are like.
I always say that I grew up with traditional and old school values in a world that's not like that anymore. So now I am single and I'm almost 29. It's not like that out there anymore. So it does make it really hard. My standards are very high because I always say to myself, well, like, would my family treat me that way? Or like, why am I going to go want to spend time with this person when I can spend time with these other people who don't judge me, love me for who I am. I can tell them the good and the bad. So it makes it very hard.
Yeah. And just being a woman in your industry with custom suits and seeing so many men that you have to get fitted and stuff. Was I one of your first women?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Oh my God, you're so welcome.
But I always got a really good vibe because, you know, I come from a place too where I'm just like old school. You just love on people. You're loyal to people. And I'm in different atmospheres all the time. So it's like you can feel like weird vibes.
Oh,
from people.
100%.
So it was really like nice because at first I'm like walking in and I'm like, what? I have a woman custom suit. My husband has a woman custom suit fitted person. And I'm just like, here we go. And I was like, oh my God, it's Alex.
Yeah, I felt the same way because sometimes, you know, you don't, a lot of my clients like wives and stuff, they don't really understand what it is I do. So it can come off, they might be intimidated by me or vice versa. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, he's bringing his wife in. Oh my God, I couldn't be happier. Like I exceeded my expectations.
Yeah,
like, you're so cool.
But I do love that about that you stay true to yourself because it is that like very competitive atmosphere out there.
Yeah.
And I love bringing women together to just be like, this isn't competition, it's collaboration.
Of course.
But it's also, I love different generations because I'm almost 10 years older than you and I still connect with you. I learn from you. You learn from me. We chat it up. But you know what I mean? So it's it's
so fun.
Good. Yeah. And you can't always find that because sometimes I run into younger women who are just very hard-headed and my way or the high, and it's just not my vibe.
Not mine either.
But I love that you do that and you've become successful in what you do. Now, do you see yourself doing this forever?
I honestly do. So I work with a lot of people who are college recruits. So, they just went through college, went to this degree. A lot of them move from a different state, and it's hard for them to see that this job as like life versus just like, job out of college. I always say I've been around the block. So I've tried other things. I've been in hospitality and retail. And at this point, I do see this being
cool.
And that's from experience of like, being brought to here.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
From Trinity.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. I was just messing.
I don't know else. I'm not saying Newport Richie.
I understand that. I wholeheartedly, anyone from Florida fully and wholeheartedly understands
exactly.
that. How do you feel about that too? Like living where you grew up and how friends change?
I would say it's definitely interesting. A lot of I have like one solid friend from growing up, and the rest have just kind of come along the way, but they always stick.
Yeah.
And it's just a couple solid, very social, otherwise have my acquaintance and stuff. But fortunately, I don't have an issue in that area.
Good. Well, yeah. Do you know, it's just hard when you like grow up and like you're thriving in something and maybe someone else is. It's hard to find like people that just support you for being you.
I've always had friends that I would say are not a step above, but kind of like had it more figured out in some ways. And I like that. It keeps me going. I go to them for advice. Nice. I look up to them.
I love that.
I feel like they pull me along with them. So I admire having friends that strive better or might be more ahead in other areas than me. And I think that's what got me to where I am.
Oh, yeah. That's not a lot of people look at it like that.
Yeah.
That's really good. Look at this wise woman.
I know.
What's something that inspires you every day?
Something that inspires me every day is I have a list at my desk that says I don't want to clock in because, I'm full commission and I work for myself. I run my own business. I don't want to clock in every day. I don't want to wait for PTO. I don't want to wait. I remember, trying to convince someone to give me a raise and that kind of thing. And I would say what also inspires me is just enjoying my alone time and like I can live like a free lifestyle while I am single. Like that's going to change one day and I'm going to have to make sacrifices. So I'm like, why not like just be able to do everything I want?
I love that.
So.
Oh, that's badass. Yeah. What's some of your go-to jams, music, books?
So my go-to jams are interesting.
You're a rocker.
I am a rocker. So I listen to a lot of like Breaking Benjamin. I listen to Dayseeker. I listen to We Came as Romans. So I'm always like blasting that kind of stuff.
Get you hyped?
It gets me hyped. And
you took your mom to a concert recently.
I did.
I hope my daughter takes me to all the concerts.
I was lucky enough to get all access passes to Disturbed and Breaking Benjamin when they came to Tampa. So of course I'm going to bring my mom. My mom and my dad introduced me to that music when I was younger. So I had no doubt. I called her. I'm like, we're going.
That's so cute.
And we had the best time. It was so fun.
As the eldest of the three, what do you think is what you've learned most from your siblings?
I would say what I've learned the most is, like my sister's a mom, so I learn more from her now than I ever have. She's always been very strong-willed, doesn't take anything from anybody, but I've seen her soften up a little, and that in itself is just...
It's cool.
I love seeing that. And then my brother went through his own hard times with like changes in the family dynamic and just seeing him still push through, be consistent and getting to a point where he knows what he wants and he's going to get rid of anything that doesn't keep it like that for him. That's also inspiring. So just kind of seeing them and how they navigate a situation that like we're all going through. Yeah. Just, it's like, well, I got to keep going too, What do you
think, what do you want people to know about you?
Oh, wow.
Or what you think you've taught your siblings?
I want people to know that, let's see. Well, so they all saw me kind of like at my lowest and it was always like a joke, like haha. And now to be able to be in this position that no one ever saw me getting in. I think that's really important for people to know about me, that it's not even just about working hard to get where I am. Like I just kept going. And I pulled myself out of literally, losing a parent, didn't have a job, lost friends that day, lost, a lot. And I just changed so fast, so quick. And like, I can never be more thankful to myself for that.
Good.
And I know my family sees it in me too. So it's very rewarding.
I love that. Honor
Yeah.
yourself, girl. Where can we find you?
So you
And
can,
your wisdom.
so of course I'm on LinkedIn, Alex Stead.
Oh, yeah, she'll get all over your LinkedIn. Watch out for her.
I'm on LinkedIn. And then my work Instagram is The Tattooed Tailor.
Because she has tats.
Yes.
And we love them.
Yes, quite a few.
You can also find Alex on Not a Great Whisper podcast, katyray.com. You're amazing. I hope you enjoyed being on a podcast today.
This is the coolest thing. It was so fun.
Thanks
so thank you so
for
much for having
joining
me.
us. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.